The geologist was bitten by a venomous snake while he was collecting, and he pulled out his phone to call for help, but in his panic, he lost his grip on the phone and dropped it into a crack in the rock. Paul had no choice but to suck out the blood from the wound, and then run back to the cabin while he was still conscious, to avoid fainting and being eaten by passing wild animals. Soon he became short of breath and his consciousness blurred, before he couldn't hold on any longer and fainted completely. In a daze, Paul felt as if someone was looking for him, but after seeing his physical condition, they did not enter the house to help him, but quickly left and for a long time could not contact. Paul's mother also posted a last parting message after the silence, but always fuzzy consciousness, but he did not have time to care, only when the body reaches its limit, to barely wake up to replenish some water. Fortunately, Paul finally woke up from the coma state without a cell phone. He did not know how long it was, only to find that not only had he not been poisoned to death, and even the wounds on his hands have been restored to their original state. Paul thought that the first aid had worked, but decided to go to the hospital just to be on the safe side. At this time, he saw the car has been covered with dust ball. Did not think too much after a simple wipe, and then headed straight to the town, driving. When he entered the town, he was surprised to find that the streets should have been bustling with activity, but now they were empty and the road was full of materials scattered on the ground due to the scramble, and it wasn't until he saw the body on the ground that he finally realized something was wrong, only to see that the skin color of the body had darkened and blackened, and the flies hovering around proved that the person had been dead for a long time. Although he didn't know what had happened, it was clear from the gruesome scene around him that something had gone wrong, and he drove to his home, and through the radio, he learned that he had been in a coma for 3 weeks, during which time the world had been struck by a highly lethal virus that had quickly spread and wiped out the human race. In disbelief, he rushed home, but his parents' condition instantly made him realize the reality of the situation. Paul thinks there must be survivors like him, but after searching the town for days, he sees nothing but wreckage. Unconvinced, he decides to head to the big city to find out what's going on. But to his despair, the city is also silent, although most of the equipment is still running unattended. The brightly colored lights are eerie in the silence. Paul, who had searched in vain, had finally resigned himself to his fate. Left alone, Paul is devastated. He drives aimlessly down the road, but the next thing he knows, a dingo has survived the virus and meets Paul. He decided to take the dog in and named it Lucky. With renewed hope, Paul went to the library and began to learn a lot about medicine, water, electricity, farming and other survival knowledge, and finally managed to survive. In this post-apocalyptic world, one man and one dog lived with each other for a year. But just as Paul was getting used to this kind of life, one day he suddenly saw a smoke rising at the end of the line of sight.